Alright, welcome to the unboxing of the CG60SRIII desktop plotter or vinyl cutter from Mamaki. As you can see, it's very well packaged. You've got power cord to the left with all the documentation there to the right as you're opening. We'll just put it on top of the box here, undo, and then go through some of the documentation. Okay, we've got 3 CDs included in the package. First one here is Simple Cut. Standalone cutting application, just with some basic features. Then we've got our plug-in fine cut system for CorelDRAW and Adobe Illustrator. Now there is a 9 version which will update from our website. Then we've got our operation manual CD there for you as well. Now we'll get some of the other items out of the packaging. We've got some of the tooling. Obviously our cutter holder, our blade, we'll run through that in a bit more detail. Then we've actually got our paper media cutting guard. So we'll run through how to install that. There's a screw just at the bottom of the cut head that we want to release, and we'll take off the cover. And then we'll insert this guard, and it actually goes across and into that and down a groove. Now the reason why we install this, it is to keep the paper or the media nice and flat all the way across the vinyl cutter. Only being a 2-pinch roller cutter, it's important for keeping the media nice and stable and flat to get precise cutting. Okay, let's set up our cutter holder with our blade that is included in the package. Okay, so we take off the cap of the cutter holder, it's a screw-on cap, and then we want to insert the blade into the slot there provided, and then we'll screw the cap back onto the cutter holder. So we'll screw that all the way on. Now, what I just want to show you here is see how far the blade is out of the cutter holder. Okay, that means that we haven't inserted it all the way down into the cutter holder when we first put in the blade. So if you've done this, you need to remove the cap and make sure the blade is fully inserted. It's pushed all the way down. Once it is, you can feel it's hit the bottom. Then we're able to put the cap back on and adjust the blade accordingly. Alright, so that feels right. Let's put the cap back on. Alright, now see, we want to adjust the blade that it is just coming out from the end of the holder cap. So I'll give you a bit of an idea here of the blade length outside of the, so you can see there, you know, we want to make sure that it's out, but we don't want the full blade out of the cutter holder. So that depth there is nice. You use the bottom of the cutter holder to adjust and set it position. Okay, let's quickly just go over the pen holder. So in this kit we've also got a pen tool that you can just do pen drafting or plotting, which is quite nice. So we've got this little holder that we can put a generic ballpoint pen into. So we just undo that screw holder and then insert, and then we'll tighten up that hand screw until it actually hits the pen nice and tight. And then that's fine. We can do the adjustment of the pen height once it gets inserted into the plotter itself. Alright, let's set up our CG60SRIII for plotting. So we need to get power and USB connectivity. Do that at the back of the machine. As you can see, we've got Ethernet and a serial port as well as other options there. Now, we've got some media support brackets that we actually put behind the plotter. And we lift the plotter up and it just sits into a groove on both ends. And then that enables us to slide them back and forth depending on the media size that we use. All right, so this enables really nice functionality, nice feeding through the plotter of roll-to-roll media. So we just want to make sure that those brackets are right to the end of the media itself, so we know it tracks nice and even through the plotter. Okay, so let's quickly install the cutter holder. As you can see here, we do anti-clockwise on the hand screw, and then it will release a little clip that's highlighted in a red circle there from the shaft. And then once we've inserted the cutter holder, clockwise screw back in, and that will tighten that clip down over the cutter holder. Alright, same procedure for the pen tool, but we want to make an adjustment to the height. So we just want to make sure that the height of the pen will end up touching the paper or the media. Okay, getting started. Let's turn the plotter on. So just to the left of the control panel on the inside is the on and off button. So we'll activate that and get started. Now that starts with setting media. Okay, so we've got a roll here, a 610 roll. We've placed it onto our media support brackets. Now we need to feed it through the plotter. Can you see that the handle we've pushed back in the back position, which lifts the pinch rollers up so we can get the media through? Now, very important how we align the media. You can see there's these vertical guides front and back that we want to make sure that that is running parallel against before we set the media clamp forward, which pushes the punch rollers back onto the media. Once that's done, we want to select roll, which is the left-hand arrow, and it's now detecting the media width. Now, what it's actually detecting is the width between the pinch rollers. That's our cuttable area. And now that it's done that, the machine will go back into the local mode. Now what happens is, in local mode, we can see everything within the plotter. So we can hit function, we can clear data, we can do a test cut, or from the plotter. But we've got cut conditions. On function 2, you can see that we've got up to 7 cut conditions that we can apply. I'm just tapping through them right now, and what we can do is we can change them individually. So you can see now we're on the speed, we can change the speed of cut 1. We can press the right arrow and then we can change the pressure of cut 1. And then arrow again to the right, we can change the offset. The offset is the blade angle. Alright, so most of our standard blades are 30-degree offset, so you won't need to change that too often. Alright, we can also go in and hit enter and set up our half cut function. This is like our die cut function all the way through the media. So we press enter when we're in a cut condition and we can enable that function. Just on the pinch rollers, I just wanted to highlight, just above the pinch rollers in that purple band, there are some white strips. It's very important that we align the pinch roller only within that white strip. So it cannot be in the purple section, it always needs to align with the white section, because then it is connected with our grit rollers underneath. Alright, very important before we start cutting, we want to do a quick test. So how we do that, we go to function and square cut comes up and enter. And this quick test will determine the depth of the blade on this particular vinyl. Most vinyls are very similar, but because it's a new setup, we want to make sure the depth is correct. So which we did earlier, but we may need to adjust it if we found that it was actually cutting too deep or not cutting enough. Alright, once we're ready to cut, very important, we have to hit function 3, which is the remote, to make sure the machine's on remote. If you don't see the remote in brackets on the screen, it won't enable us to cut down to the plotter. Okay, now that we have set up our CG60SRIII, we can now connect it to our software. So we've got a couple of options here. We've got a plugin which is called Fine Cut that can connect into either CorelDRAW or Adobe Illustrator. So we're going to do a very quick preview here in Adobe Illustrator. We also have a standalone software with our CG60SRIII which is called Simple Cut. A very basic sort of standalone software that allows you to cut very basic shapes and text and that for really quick cutting, or a converter that isn't really creating too many graphic type files. Alright, so let's set this up. We'll just open a new document here in Adobe Illustrator. And we can see this A4 page has come up. As you can see, I've already got the Mimaki Fine Cut plugin installed, which is Mimaki Fine Cut 9. Okay, now once it's installed, and we've got sort of some other videos that you can check out regarding installation, it's pretty straightforward. But once it's installed and you open up your application, you go to the window area and you will see Mimaki Fine Cut here in your window control, and that will bring up the little plugin that we'll be using. Now, the disc that you might get within the packaging might be Fine Cut 8. We're now up to Fine Cut 9. So we can go and check out Mimaki's website, and we can look at, go to download, and if we go to software and scroll down, you can see here we have now got Fine Cut 9 for Adobe Illustrator and CorelDRAW, and this is where you can get the latest update for Fine Cut. So just be aware here also, these updates come out to align to generally new operating systems. So if we can look here, you can check if your operating system is available for the latest version of the software, and you can check here the versions that have been available for download. Alright, so if we go back to our Adobe Illustrator and we go back to our Mimaki Fine Cut 9 plugin, you'll see there's a series of icons that we use. Now the one at the top here on the right hand side, I'm hovering across, is our setup icon. So this is where we set up to this particular plotter. So the plotter section will come up first. We want to go down and then select CG/SR3 series, which is right at the top. Once we've got that selected, we go to our communication tab, and this is where we've already set up the plotter connecting to the computer with USB. You can see we've already got that selected there. What you should see, it might come up just default on the serial, but you should automatically see the USB driver. We select it, and you can see it's there, then we go OK. So now it means that we are connected to our CG60SRIII, and now it's pretty straightforward. That if you're familiar with Corel Illustrator, you can do, you know, any shapes or any sort of drawing or any text that you want to apply, and we can go down to the plotter and cut it. Alright, so here what we do, if we want everything to come up in the document to plot, we would just select the first plot icon and go into the plot window. This is just saying it's going to cut in the middle of an outline of the document. As we go OK. And here you can see we've got the window come up, our cut plot window. Now you can see the caution mark up here on the sheet loading. So at the moment it's saying we haven't detected the sheet. So we want to go down, put the plotter onto remote, put on remote, and then if we hit the sheet loading, it will update and tell us the exact media size that we've got running here. See, the sheet size is 543. So that's what I've got selected in there. Well, it's not really the sheet size, it's the width you've got your pinch rollers. So it's the available cut within the pinch rollers that are holding down the media. All right, so everything in the document came up there, as you see. If we wanted to go back, and we'll just bring up Illustrator again. If we just wanted to bring up and cut the test text instead of everything in the document, we would use the second icon, which is the cut with a little direct select icon on it. We would click that, and as it brings up the window, you can see it just brings up the test text that we want to cut. Our media is all fine here. It's still remembered that we're actually got the detection there, so the sheet loading is all accurate. But here's where we can actually change the scale, the size. So if we wanted to be 200%, here the test goes up to 200%. If we want it to go to a particular size, we can just put in here, we want it to be 300mm wide. We can put it in there and we will go 300mm wide. So you've got a lot of customization within this little cut window that you can that you can work through. All right, we go down into this middle layout window, and you can see this is where it's going to do the rotation nice and quickly. We can also do here fit to size. Now fit to size would actually fit it to the exact media or cut width, which is the 543. So if we go fit to size, it's going to actually just fit it across the maximum cut width of the material that we've got loaded. All right. So this particular case, if you want to just go back to your, 300mm, or you can go back to your original scale that was in the Illustrator document, 100%. It would go back to your exact size that you've got within your Illustrator document. We do have tiling functionality. So this, if you were doing a larger job outside of your 600mm media, or generally a 600mm media, we can tile that up there. So that's something you can certainly experiment with. The register mark, if we were doing print and cut jobs, so printed jobs, and we wanted to cut around the contours, that's where we use this area, and we would detect the marks. And it would detect marks. We can't see it now because we don't have those marks detected, but it would bring up a blue screen and other options. I'll show you that really quickly now, that if we had we do a box around this, and we hit our register mark, 10mm, that would be fine. Okay, and we select, see, this is our register mark icon. We select our direct cut tool with the register marks on. So obviously this would be printed. You can see our marks there. If we go into the register mark now and go detect, it comes up with a little blue background on the screen, which means it's detected. And then it's giving us options of how we want that cut. So do we want it to always detect 4 marks for the highest accuracy? How many jobs are we doing in repeat? This has got, say we did 5 copies of it, we printed 5 copies down there, then we want to put in 5 copies. Okay, 5 copies. If we only did 1 copy, we want to go back to 1 copy. All right, and this is if it's on a roll, or if it's an individual leaf, then it's just 1 repeat. You can see normally we just leave it on the roll mode for this. So that is your detection mode if you're doing contour cutting around printed jobs. All right, we need to actually detect it in this tab. If we exit detection, then we're just actually doing individual cutting. All right, so look, that's a real basic sort of outlook for fine cut and cutting down to the CG60SRIII. Really, a lot of these other tools are designed for the print and cutting, something that you can sort of investigate and look in the old your own operation manual to see some activity there. But this is a real basic sort of outline of just getting the CG60SR set up and then to cut through fine cut. Nice and simple, nice and easy sort of tools that we've got there that you can cut pretty straightforward and pretty quickly directly through that fine cut plug-in and then down to the plotter. Alright, we'll do a very quick test cut, just output through fine cut down to the CG 60SRIII. So we go and select our direct cutting tool just so the test cut comes up. And there you can see it there. Now quickly, if we just wanted to do multiple copies, you can see we can just add multiple copies across and down the roll. You can see it does the multiple copies quite quick and easy there. But let's just do a very quick test cut. We can frame it. Frame it will just give us a quick weed border to maybe weed the job a little bit easier. So let's just output. We'll go to the plot window. Plot window comes up. Generally we set this configuration that we want to use the plotter condition. So that's the condition that we've set at the plotter end. Alright, we can do what we call more host or fine cut conditions, where we can then choose a particular cut setup and change the configuration from the software end. But generally we recommend just using what you've set at the plotter condition. Alright, so once we're happy there to actually output, we hit the plot button. And you can hear the cutter now plotting that test cut. Thank you for watching this unboxing and basic startup setup video on the CG60SRIII. For more detailed outline of some of the functionality, please view the operation guide that you're looking at now. And once again, thank you for choosing Mimaki product. See you next time.